Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. Welcome to our weekly webinar, mapping out your week ahead. And the title says it in a simple way. What we're trying to do here, pretty much create a plan. And as usual, I quote the traders when they say, you plan your trade, then you trade your plan. So, of course, no guarantees, but definitely should be improving our results this way. A few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I've been involved with trading for close to 25 years now. I started in June of 2000 as a prop trader in New York City, and I did it for about 11 years. After that, I moved away from day trading and prop trading and started to mentor and educate others. And I'm very happy to have this great opportunity to be assisting our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, as usual, we speak about indices, stocks, commodities, Forex. We combine technicals with some fundamentals. I'll share with you a few slides of articles, a little bit about Fed's economic calendar we'll go through, and then we'll take a look at the charts from the technical perspective at the instruments that we'll discuss. Risk warning, you can find the full statement at the avatrade.com website. Of course, everything we do here is purely educational. We do not suggest any trades. Social media, please feel free to subscribe and follow us on Telegram, X, and YouTube. As I usually say, it's my favorite. You have a lot of information there, including tutorials, educational material, and the webinars. All the webinars that we do are being recorded and posted on YouTube. So you might be watching this webinar on YouTube. So please feel free to click likes if you like it. Feel free to share with people. And of course, subscribe and click on that bell if you haven't done it yet. So you'll be notified on new things coming up. So past week, it was another roller coaster, right? As we know, the focus is still on Trump and will be, I guess, for the next 4 years. It's all about tariffs. It's all about uncertainty. And we had Fed's decision on interest rate, which was unchanged. And during the press conference, the main message, of course, is, as it says here in the title of the article, Fed sees high inflation and slower U.S. economy due to uncertainty tied to Trump tariffs. And it says right here at the bottom, the Federal Reserve said the uncertainty about the economy had increased, but it stuck to its prior forecast for 2 interest rate cuts this year. You can find this article at marketwatch.com and go through it. So we all know it, a lot of volatility due to the tariffs and policy changes and so on. Now, also there was an announcement personally by President Trump about the new jet, F-47 they call it, and it looks like the contract was won by Boeing. It says right here, Boeing edges logged at fighter jet contract, $20 billion win amid a turnaround effort. So that they call it a 6th generation jet. I was actually watching that announcement in the White House by President Trump. So Boeing, we should see some, I think it was already showing some upside moves after this announcement. Now, Tesla, as we know, even though Friday Tesla actually went up with some other stocks, but a lot of pressure here. It says right here, record 9 straight weekly lows has wiped out Trump bomb and led to consumer and shareholder protests. And here's the interesting fact. Also, you can find this article on the marketwatch.com. It says right here, new data from Car Shopping Guide Edmunds show a record level of Tesla trade-ins for purchases of new vehicles in March. And a month after new model shopping considerations for Tesla electric vehicles hit their lowest point since October 2022. I mean, a lot of issues since all the involvement with Musk, with the government and so on. It's not something new. We had similar situation where we had the whole saga around Twitter being bought by Trump, or by Musk, and that affected the Tesla price and so on. So we'll see how things move on. Now we had this conference, the technology conference for NVIDIA. Didn't really meet the high expectations. The stock went down. I will take a look at the charts, of course, later on. But it says right here, NVIDIA stock was supposed to get a lift from GTC this week. It dropped instead. Now the Fed's on deck, May 7th interest rate decision. As of now, it's a 14%, 14.3% probability as of today for the cut. And you could see how things changed. A month ago, it was 30%, then it went to 27, and a day ago to 14.3, and stays at 14.3% probability for the rate cut. The next meeting, May 7th. Okay, the economic calendar, just a few things, especially to new people, what this is. It's public information. If you're not familiar with it, you can find it on our web trader or the app. You can also just Google it. It all comes from the same source. As I said, this is public information. It's good to know it ahead of time. What I do here, I take out the high impact events only. There's so much more. You can filter through it and choose what's relevant for your trading. So these are the things that are happening up in the upcoming week. The times here I set for GMT. So let's go through it. Monday, we have Germany PMI numbers and the European Union PMI numbers, followed by UK PMI numbers and US PMI. It's all about PMI numbers, right? We have Governor of Bank of England speaking on Monday as well. Wednesday, CPI numbers from Australia, CPI numbers from UK. Thursday, GDP numbers. We'll see how economy is doing in the US, and followed by CPI numbers from Japan. Then we have gross domestic product or GDP numbers from UK, and we have the numbers that are important for Feds, core personal consumption expenditure prices for month of February, and that comes on Friday. So these are the most high impact events for the week. As I said, there's so much more. You can browse through that. Now we come to the winners and losers for the week in commodities. Later on, we'll take a look at each of them on the chart, how they look. So the winners, copper up 4.25%, heating oil up almost 4%. Coffee almost 3.5% higher, sugar 2.6%, gasoline 2%, and crude oil almost 2% higher for the week. On the losing side, we have a natural gas. As you realize, a lot of these markets are on our list every week. One week they go up, next week they go down or continuing. So these are usual suspects for our reviews here, right? Natural gas down again 3.4%. Platinum down 3.25%, cotton down 3%, silver 2.6% lower, and palladium down 1.12%. So these are the winners and the losers for the week. Okay, let's bring up the charts now, and we'll go through the assets. We'll start with China. As you could see here, we did try the previous week to break through the previous resistance. We failed, and the last 2 days of the week we went lower. It looks like the downside pressure prevails here. We can't really get out of these woods here. Let's go through the US indices. So we had Friday was a positive day for Dow Jones, S&Ps, and NASDAQ. Dow Jones and S&Ps were up about 0.1% on Friday, and up for the week. Dow Jones was up 1.2%. S&Ps were up 0.5%, and NASDAQ was up 0.2% for the week. So let's start with Dow Jones. Looks like it's the strongest. Had a nice bounce here for the week. Friday, it went down, but it bounced nicely, closing higher. as the buyers came in again. So that's on Dow Jones. The S&Ps, I mean, as you could see, all the indices been selling since all this uncertainty with Trump policies and tariffs and everything else. So on the weekly chart, you could see a red. We didn't go. We tried to go higher from the previous week, but then we failed. We still had the green week for S&Ps, and Nasdaq also a green week, but doesn't show a lot of excitement here as we're close below the previous week. So we see 4 consecutive weeks to the downside in the first green one here. German DAX had a second consecutive week to the downside, and it didn't happen since last year, October. So it could be that we seeing some slowing down and that exciting move to the upside. As you could see, 3 consecutive days to the downside. We're still holding that 22,937, the initial stop here. From extended move to the upside, and it looks like so far we're holding that as a support. So UK, let's take a look at UK FTSE. Also 2 consecutive days down and 3 consecutive weeks down on the FTSE. A lot of things, a lot of changes with US policies and issues with Ukraine war. And it looks like this separation between Europe and US as far as they being close allies. So a lot of things. Germany and Europe, they're spending a lot of money on weapons now. And I guess we'll see more changes and more developments from European countries in that aspect. So that's as far as indices. We'll move to stocks. And let's take a quick look at those stocks that we mentioned: Boeing, Tesla, and Nvidia. So you could see Boeing already reacted to it. If you remember, Boeing had a lot of issues with technical conditions of the plane, and as we know, the stock's been suffering a lot. Now, as you could see on the weekly chart, there's a second consecutive week to the upside. This past week was super strong. It could be that it has to do with this new contract from the US government on this new airplane, the F-47, as we said. It looks good. We had a few gaps and continuation, and we closed at 178. About 2 weeks ago, we were below 150. So nice move. Boeing. Tesla has been selling a lot since this peak in December, right? We hit almost 450, almost 500. The high here was 488.20, and we came to retest the 220 level that we did have a lot of actions there in the past. And Friday was a nice move to the upside, but it's clear downturn on Tesla here. Nvidia, you could see here, we hit the low here on the 11th of March, low of 104.70. Then we bounced higher. Then beginning of the week, we went down with that technology conference, and we closed at 117. Now, as you could see here, what catches the eye, that the 50-day moving average just closed below, which for some technicians, it's a signal, a bearish signal for selling. Last time we turned to the upside, it was 2023 January, and now it's the first time since then we just crossed to the downside, which could be considered as a selling signal here for some of the analysts. You might see it sometimes on the financial channels and reports. So let's see how that plays out. Nvidia, I read a few things. They have a lot of things in the pipeline, but it's not immediate they're looking for a new chip coming out second half of 2026, and then another new one in the second half of 2027. I guess investors were expecting something more immediate that would affect the price in a positive way. So we'll be watching NVIDIA, especially as now we could see this dead cross, as they call it, the 50-day moving average crosses below 200. Intel, if you remember, Intel has been acting strongly since the change of CEO. We did go to the high here was 26.37. Since then, we went to correcting, and we kind of trading around 200 moving average here, closing above a 24.20. So we'll continue watching that. Now, banks. Before we go to banks, I think I mentioned something last week about the oil. So ExxonMobil, as the oil tried to show a little bit strength, ExxonMobil moved higher this past week, and Chevron as well. Chevron looks much stronger here. So we'll continue watching oil stocks. Now, going to banks, slowly after this drop here, they are recovering. We actually have consecutive, how many sessions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions, a week and a half almost to the upside. Goldman, JP Morgan, the whole group had a nice week. And we are showing a little bit of recovery since the latest drop in bank stocks. And let's take a look at Teva Pharmaceutical as we follow it, see how it does. You remember we had a nice run to the upside, then we went lower. And now after this move to the upside, we tried to run higher. We tried to test closer to $17. We failed. And now we are below, we touched a little bit below 16 and closing above. So it looks like $16 showing as support currently here. Okay, that's as far as stocks. Let's move to commodities, and we'll take a look at the list. Let me just bring it back really quickly to refresh our memory. So we'll go through copper, heating oil, coffee, sugar, gasoline, crude oil, natural gas, platinum, cotton, silver, and palladium. Let's go through them really quick. So copper been super strong. Maybe it has to do with China attempt to recovery here. A lot of it to do, as analysts explained, with the new tariffs and everything else. So since the tariffs kick in, we had a huge move up on copper, and it's worth really taking a look at here the long-term picture. We just broke above the level of 2022 March, and then here we had the spike. This is the monthly chart. So this was May of last year. The high here was 519.55. Let's see it better on the weekly chart right here. So we are trying to reach that level. We had the 3 consecutive weeks to the upside. We might see correction, or we might see continuation. As you could see here, every time they try to drop it lower with these tails, we come right back. The buyers are still, looks like they are in control. So that's copper. Heating oil had an upside week. He actually has a little correlation, or maybe not a little, but had some correlation with crude oil, gasoline as well. So they trade kind of as a group. So here we had a nice move starting the week to the upside. Friday was a little bit of a sell-off. We're still below 200 moving average here on heating oil. Coffee. Coffee, we had a nice run. The shortage of coffee fundamentally. Then we had a move to the downside, lower high. we're still in the upside. We didn't have a lower low yet. So this past week, it looks green every day pretty much. Let's see how this week plays. We're still above all three moving averages here, so it looks very strong here. Coffee sugar is next. Sugar had the nice V formation recovery here from this last drop. Friday was a sell, and for the week, it's a second consecutive week to the upside, and we retesting this level here around 1980, 1970, as you could see here. We up below the 200 moving average and the 100 and about the 50, kind of in between. So that's on sugar. Gasoline, as we said, it goes a little bit in sympathy with oil. So it went up. It looks second consecutive week. This support here on 204, as you could see across the board, December 2022. Then we had the support here. This is the weekly chart, December 2023. Then we were trading a lot of consolidation below that level. And then the end of last year, we broke above. So the support is back in play, 204 support. We had a nice move here the week of February 16th, and we're kind of holding that gain. So we'll continue watching what's happening with gasoline here. Crude oil, with things getting more intense now in the region, as you know, or you might know. There are military actions in Gaza again. There are also some events in the Lebanon. So it looks like things are heating up again. We had the move on Thursday to the upside. Friday we finish in red, but still holding to that gain. So crude oil, we'll watch what's happening the upcoming week. Those are the gainers for the week. Now we move to the losers. Natural gas had a red week. Here, as you could see, the second consecutive week to the downside on the natural gas. Platinum is next one. As you could see, strong move to the downside. 4 consecutive days, stopped right before the 200 moving average here. So it could be that next week we'll see a bounce, as we are still above the 200 moving average here. Or we might go and retest the previous low. Let's take a look. It looks actually like we are holding this trend line here. Yep, you could see here. If you draw the trend lines, connect the previous two, it looks like we're holding here. So let's see what happens. If we break it down, we might continue lower. If we continue holding, we might continue to the upside. So that's on the platinum. Cotton, similar picture, all 5 days to the downside. We came to the level of 65, which was support here and here. Let's see, we are below all moving averages here, and the trend line looks down, as you can see here. So that's on cotton. Silver. So also had some pressure to the downside this week. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we moved lower. And palladium, Friday, a little bit of recovery, but the 3 previous days we went lower. Let's see how the weekly chart. Weekly chart, we have like really long consolidations here, a lot of accumulation going on at this very tight range. So something is cooking in palladium. I think we spoke about it a few times. What they say is if the longer accumulations happen, the stronger the move will be. Now the question is which way. We had a few spikes here to 1257. You could see here December 23, October 24, and then we're back. So we are kind of holding support. We're having a hard time moving higher, but we're not breaking to the downside either. So we just have to be patient and see which way plating will go. And a gold, of course. Gold, very interesting. Friday, they did test the buyers, I think. I just bring the small time frame. Look at this. Out of nowhere, this drop just came, and it's a huge drop. We went from 30,030s all the way to penetrate the 3,000 here, right? So we had few tails trying to break above, and then in an hour, pretty much half an hour, because that was just the beginning, but this half hour was drastic. Take a look at this range. We went from 30, almost 30.30 to 30.04. Big drop. And the next half an hour we went lower. It just broke briefly through 3,000, close higher, and then continued to the upside, erasing, I mean, roughly, we don't need to be roughly, we can use exact numbers. Probably about 60% of that move we erased. Yeah, exactly. We came to 61% Fibonacci level right here. So it looks like I don't know what the reason was here, but I was watching the market then. It was a very strong, drastic move to the downside. Then another attempt to break 3,000. It came right back and ended up at 3,023.5. So definitely something's happening. Maybe the sellers are testing what the real buyers are. I mean, we can be hypothetically creative here, but I guess we'll see what's happening. Also, take a look at we had a lot of accumulation here, right? Between 28.78 and 29.55. Then we broke through it, continued straight higher. We didn't really have, so maybe just a regular correction before moving higher. Some analysts predicting 3,500. It could be anything, or it could be we come retest this 29.50s again, or maybe even get to the channel. As of now, it still looks very strong. I mean, the recovery came right after the drop, partial recovery, about 60%. So we'll be watching gold, definitely. Something's happening there. Going to Forex. US dollar is trying to recover here. We are above 103.25 here. That's the level that was support. Then we broke through it. It came right back. 3 consecutive days to the upside. We are below all the moving average, so we are technically in the downtrend on dollar, of course. I guess since the FOMC and the press conference of Powell, dollar regained something as the expectation to the rate cuts kind of decreased, right? So dollar showed a little bit more strength here. Now we had 4 interest rate decisions: US, Japan, UK, and Swiss bank, right? So only Swiss bank cut the rates, the rest remain the same. So let's start with the Swiss. The reaction was the Swiss franc was to the downside, of course. And let's just go through majors really quickly. So similar to US, it's a US dollar as euro dollar is kind of a mirror image of it. So you could see here we still have that resistance in play, 103.30s, and we had moved to the downside here 3 consecutive days on euro. Pound, 2 consecutive days down. That resistance still in play. We are above 200 moving average. We are clearly in the uptrend on the pound. USD CAD, we're back in this channel here. In the middle of the channel, we're still here. We spoke about the Canadian dollar a lot, right? We did try, this was with the tariffs were announced and we came below, but the major actions happening with this tight 200 pips territory here. So we try up, we try down, but we remain in the middle here in the channel. No changes from Bank of Japan. Dollar is kind of regaining strength against the yen. Australian dollar tried to run as China moved lower on Thursday and Friday. So did Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. As you know, they are connected. They are big suppliers of goods. So that's why the Australian and New Zealand dollar, if you don't know, they call them commodity currencies. So they're very sensitive to what's happening in China. Both of them down on Thursday and Friday. Now let's take a look at yen against other currencies. Australian dollar weak, Canadian is holding up. Swiss went down with that interest rate decision against the yen as well. Euro went down against the yen the 2 consecutive days. The Friday was green. The same thing for pound, and New Zealand dollar went down. So we'll be watching yen. And of course, the crazy story of Turkey. I don't know if you heard or not. It was all over the news, still is. President Erdogan, he arrested his opponent. It was a mayor of Istanbul, and it started a lot of issues, demonstrations and other things. And immediately there was a huge drop in Turkish lira. Take a look at this initial move. I'm going to bring 1 hour chart just to see it. This was initial first hour move on that announcement, I guess, and then things cooled down. But still, Turkish lira is really just dropping. This is dollar against Turkish lira, of course, going higher. But as you could see, it's just continuing crazy. And of course, the local market is down and everything else. I don't know whoever's involved with the Turkish lira or Turkish markets, but definitely you could see that effect from the political actions in Turkey. Let's take a quick look for dessert in cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin hugging the 200 moving average here, trading at 84,300 now. Clearly downtrend here. We try, but so far not succeeding to move higher on Bitcoin here. This current trading actions are, we have a support from March 11th at 76.5. That's where this move happened back in November. So we are holding this level here. XRP, the Ripple, some good news. It looks like SEC dropped the charges. Initial move was there, but was still below the recent highs of around 3. This was the move at the beginning of March. We are trading at 238 as of now. Okay, I think that would be it for today. Please remember the social media, subscribe, click the bell, be notified. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the likes. If you like it, share with people, they might benefit, and subscribe, click the bell, of course. Write your comments you have. And let's just summarize what we spoke about in a few sentences. The focus is, of course, on Trump's policies and tariffs and everything else. Uncertainty from the Feds. They still think the 2 cuts are in store for the rest of the year. Next decision, May 7th, 14% probability of rate cut. We have Boeing in focus for the new jet. We have Tesla in focus for people dropping the cars. We have NVIDIA with the conference that failed to excite the investors. US dollar, it's regaining a little bit of strength here. And gold retested at 3,000 so far. We are holding above. I want to wish everyone a good weekend. We still have a few hours, and prepare yourself, get some rest, spend some quality time with your family, and we'll be back next week. And I want to wish everyone a successful trading week. All the best. Take care.